All right, we are here with vlog number 4. This is the last vlog of the course. I am going to talk about the things that I have just kind of absorbed, learned, taken from this whole course in general. The first 3 things I'm going to talk about are the knowledge, skills, and attitude that I've kind of generated throughout this whole course. Some knowledge that I've learned from this course is understanding what it means to actually be globally competent. Before, I just thought that meant kind of knowing about things in the world, but it's a deeper meaning of, yes, you know current events, you know what's happening, not just in your local area, but across the world, but you understand why those things matter. That's the part that I didn't really understand before, or didn't really know about, is it matters what's going on. It matters why it's going on, how it affects us, how it affects other people, how it affects the environment. So that's something that I've really taken from this whole course in general, is being able to understand what it means to be truly globally competent. In the Asia Society, the 4 domains really helped me kind of grasp that idea. They're investigating, so we investigated some some current events. And then we recognized some perspectives of, our perspective and then their perspective. And then we communicated ideas, so we shared ideas between what we thought and what they thought, and kind of worked with each other on figuring out a solution. And then we just took action. We found a common solution, and then we did what we had to do to make that solution be put in play. And so those are some things that I've taken back from this whole course in general. Some skills that I've learned is what it means, or what it looks like per se, to globalize your instruction or globalize your lesson. Specifically, like how to incorporate tools and resources into your instruction and lessons to allow it to have that global aspect. That was something that all of my lessons lack, is that global aspect. And so just being able to see, here are tools that you can use, here are resources that you can implement. And all of that information was very useful for me, because I've never been presented with that and didn't really have an understanding of where to find that and how to use it. Some attitudes that I pulled from this whole class is it's allowed me to be more aware of my surroundings, know what I'm buying in the store and how that affects our local area, but areas around us in a global view. Knowing that that I need to become more knowledgeable, and kind of having that fire under my behind to push myself to become more knowledgeable about the world, so that I can educate my students about global current events, and about attitudes and perspectives that are worldwide and not just in our local community. So it's really kind of gotten me, motivated me, I should say, to educate myself and push forward for my students. I'd like to implement Pen Pals and Skype into my classroom next year. Those are just 2 simple ways that I can connect my students to events on a global level. Pen Pals is the main one that I want to try to implement next year, because it'll allow my students to not only use the writing process and still work on persuasive writing, informative, explanatory writing, but it's also going to connect my students to classrooms across the world. And my goal is to get my students to forget completely about the writing aspect of the lesson, and really focus on, learning things from classrooms across the world, but secretly still having them practice those writing processes and writing skills. So that's one that I've really want to implement next year into my classroom. And I also want to include Skype into my classroom. I'm not sure what that picture looks like yet, but I'm really excited, and I think that I want to incorporate that with science, specifically our landform unit. Just getting other students' perspectives that see volcanoes on a daily basis, or that see glaciers on a daily basis, or plateaus, or huge mountains. Those are things that I can describe, but it doesn't really mean anything, because I've never seen them before. I don't know what it's really like to stand in front of a volcano. And so allowing students that are in those geographical places to kind of teach my kids about those things from a personal basis, I think will be cool, and my students will really enjoy that aspect of the lesson. When looking at the Mastering Global Literacy article, I've kind of broken down each part of that article And so the 5 goals they had originally, and I've kind of taken those 5 goals and focused on one specific thing for myself out of those 5 goals. So the first one's raising my own personal awareness. I think if I find a passion within the world, the current events within the world, I think that when I educate myself on that one passion and become confident with that, then I can extend my knowledge on other events and perspectives throughout the world. The second one is just being comfortable. Commitment is a big deal. And so I think being committed to knowing that I'm going to feel uncomfortable, things are not going to go well, is something that I need to wrap my mind around and really just kind of let that thing go. Let the idea of it's not going to work, I'm nervous, I'm scared, and just let it go because we heard all throughout the course things are not going to work. And so I think that'll be one thing that'll help me commit 100% to globalizing my classroom is just letting that idea of the unknown go. For number 3, some tools that I'd like to implement were what I talked about earlier, Pen Pals and Skype, and just incorporating those two at the beginning, not really getting overwhelmed with, incorporating 7 different ways to globalize my classroom. I think that if I use these two and get confident and strong in these 2 implications, then I can expand my my tool and resources that I use in the classroom. Number 4, I think this connects to number 2 with just the comfort zone aspect. Networking outside of my norm is very scary for me. And so I think that once I get comfortable and once I get confident in talking to other people that I've never met or that I've never seen, then that will allow me to, again, for number 2, make that commitment of making that transition in my classroom. Number 5 is how will I extend my learning? So for now, I just want to start with writing and maybe science and get confident with that and kind of get a good knowledge base and feel strong with delivering the instruction and build relationships within those 2, Pen Pals and Skype. And then kind of broaden out and expand once I've gotten that solid feeling of those 2 tools and those 2 ideas. So overall, for 1 through 5, I think my biggest goal is to become confident and become strong in knowing what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. I think that once I get that feeling and once I get that confidence, it will kind of go with the flow and I'll be able to expand and network and be confident and just not really worry about the unknown aspect of globalizing your classroom and just do it, take action and do it. And so that's everything that I've learned throughout the whole course. I really enjoyed the course and I would definitely take the tools and resources that I've gathered and collected and implement them in my classroom. Maybe not this year, all of them, but hopefully at some point I will have a plethora of tools and resources that I'm using to globalize my classroom and my students and myself. Thanks.